Thank you.
Merci. I have awakened in thy shelter, oh my God, and it becometh him that seeketh that shelter to abide within the sanctuary of thy protection and the stronghold of thy defense. Illumine my inner being, oh my Lord, with the splendors of the day spring of thy revelation, even as thou didst illumine my outer being with the morning light of thy favor. Illumine my inner being, oh my Lord, with the splendors of the day spring of thy revelation, even as thou didst illumine my outer being with the morning light of thy favor.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? I am a walking version of Fred Sanford. I mean, I got sunglasses here. I got reading glasses here. I know I keep talking about it, but I still haven't gotten used to it. So anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. We've got Mike here. How you doing, Mike? You good?
Hello, Michael.
Yep. We got everyone out there in Zoom. Feel free to unmute yourselves and say good morning.
Hello, Paul. Good morning.
Hello,
Good morning,
Terry.
Terry.
Great to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning,
morning,
Pauline.
Good
Oh, that's Yuta that
morning.
said that. Good morning, Yuta. I saw
Good morning,
Pauline's
Pauline.
face come out and with Yuta's voice. How'd you all make that? No. Good morning, Yuta. Good morning, Pauline.
Hi,
Good morning.
Pam.
And Pam is here. Hi there, Pam. How you doing? Great to see you. Someone else just jumped in the Zoom. I can't see
Yeah,
that. Can you see that?
I can't see.
Kim
Okay.
is here. Yay, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Hey, Kim. How you doing? Okay. Thank you, Pauline. That's right. We need someone in the Zoom to read for us. Maybe that's a new youth project that we can do. Have the youth
Yeah, no kidding.
come up and look at the screen.
There's a Yelka Gabadoulis somewhere on Zoom.
Okay, we can't see that from here.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. A what? What do you say?
Yelka.
Yetka is here.
Oh.
Yelka. That's.
Oh, I
that's
see.
what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. How you doing?
Good morning.
We're so glad you're here. And we're glad everyone's here. How you doing over there, Jeremiah? He's good.
Yeah.
Jeremiah says this. Okay. All
How are
right.
you, Tony?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm,
Good.
I'm very, very, very blessed, and I am happy to say it, and I'm going to keep saying it until I can sound convincing. Yes. No,
Okay.
I'm very happy. I feel really good today. So thank
Good.
you for asking. And I guess we're going to go ahead and get started. So, Daryl, I'm
Yes.
assuming you have already chosen.
I have. O compassionate God, thanks be to thee, for thou hast awakened me and made me conscious. Thou hast given me a seeing eye and favored me with a hearing ear, hast led me to thy kingdom and guided me to thy path. Thou hast shown me the right way and caused me to enter the ark of deliverance. O God, keep me steadfast and make me firm and staunch. Protect me from violent tests and preserve and shelter me in the strongly fortified fortress of thy covenant and testament. Thou art the powerful, thou art the seeing, thou art the hearing. O thou compassionate God, bestow upon me a heart which, like unto a glass, may be illumined with the light of thy love, and confer upon me thoughts which may change this world into a rose garden through the outpourings of heavenly grace. Thou art the compassionate, the merciful, thou art the great, beneficent God. Abdul Baha.
Thank you so much, Daryl. Thank you. And I didn't even get my book out today. Here it is. Um, there we go. So, as always, we're still continuing our study of some answered questions. And for anyone who's new to our program, our devotional here, it's a little bit devotional, a little bit deepening, a little bit fireside, a little bit book club, and a little bit just a couple of guys hanging out trying to.
A little bit of music.
Yeah. Yeah. And right now we are continuing with the book Some Answered Questions, in which Abdul Baha does just that. Answers a lot of questions regarding spirituality, religion, and even some practical living stuff. The chapter we are starting on today, we're starting a new section of the book. We should point
Yes.
that out. Part 2. Hang on, I have to make my arms get good and long. Yeah, part 2, some Christian subjects. And we're looking at chapter, what's that, 16?
16.
Okay. 16, chapter 16. So, Daryl, whenever you're ready, please.
Chapter
feel free to
16
begin.
is intelligible realities and their expression through sensible forms.
Yeah, and you know what? Before we begin, before you start reading, I wanted to point out that for anyone who's wondering, sensible, I got to tell you, when I first read that topic, I'm like, well, sensible to me, it has to make sense. But in this particular case, it really means
Physical
physical,
senses,
right?
yes.
Exactly, the physical senses. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so anyway, anytime you want to start, Daryl, please.
There is a point that is pivotal to grasping the essence of the other questions that we have discussed or will be discussing, namely that human knowledge is of two kinds. Human knowledge is of two kinds. One is the knowledge acquired through the senses, that which the eye, the ear, or the senses of smell, taste, or touch can perceive is called sensible. For example, the sun is sensible as it can be seen. Likewise, sounds are sensible as the ear can hear them, odors as they can be inhaled and perceived by the sense of smell, foods as the palate can perceive their sweetness, sourness, bitterness, or saltiness, heat and cold as the sense of touch can perceive them. These are called sensible realities. The other kind of human knowledge is that of intelligible things. That is, it contains of intelligible realities which have no outward form or place and which are not sensible. For example, the power of the mind is not sensible, nor are any of the human attributes. These are intelligible realities. Love, likewise, is an intelligible and not a sensible reality. For the ear does not hear these realities, the eye does not see them, the smell does not sense them, and the taste does not detect them. The touch does not perceive them. Even the ether, the forces of which are said in a natural philosophy to be heat, light, electricity, and magnetism, is an intelligible and not a sensible reality. Likewise, nature itself is an intelligible and not a sensible reality. The human spirit is an intelligible and not a sensible reality. But when you undertake to express these intelligible realities, you have no recourse but to cast them in the mold of the sensible. For outwardly, there is nothing beyond the sensible. Thus, when you wish to express the reality of the spirit and its conditions and degrees, you are obliged to describe them in terms of sensible things, since outwardly there exists nothing but the sensible. For example, grief and happiness are intelligible things. But when you wish to express these spiritual conditions, you say, my heart became heavy, or my heart was uplifted, although one's heart is not literally made heavy or lifted up. Rather, it is a spiritual or intelligible condition, the expression of which requires the use of sensible terms. Another example is when you say, so and so has greatly advanced, although he has remained in the same place, or so and so has a high position, whereas, like everyone else, he continues to walk upon the earth. This elevation and advancement are spiritual conditions and intelligible realities, but to express them, you must use sensible terms, since outwardly there is nothing beyond the sensible.
Daryl, can I ask you a question?
Shoot.
And I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. Why does this matter? There was a pause.
Of course, there's a pause.
And I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I think
I
about
mean,
times
when
when
you say why does it matter, I get a list that starts forming in my head about why it matters.
yeah,
This is so.
I think about times when so often, and this is so far too often with me, I am at a complete loss for words when I might want to express something that, for whatever reason, in the moment is very important, and yet I can't find the words. I have the feelings, I have whatever is that. Again, I don't know. Even the feeling to me is, let's say, the emotions, and yet it's difficult to find the words that will express in physical terms that people can relate to, which to me is what Abdul Baha here is talking about.
Right.
And I think about how often communication breaks down between people. Often when we're talking about, things that are very important, that might be things we feel very strongly about, and yet we struggle, even though we may still be spouting words, we struggle to find words or to use words that I think carry the same interpretation and clarity for the other person. I mean, again, this to me is just it's hard for me to read this without thinking on a personal level. But I think about all the division that that man has experienced, certainly now, but also in past ages, where a lot of times it comes down to finally being able to find the words
Right.
to articulate, in a way that others can understand and that resonates with others. Uh, how to put those feelings, those thoughts, those impulses into words. It really is. I think it certainly is important. And when we talk about even spiritual issues, oh my goodness, that is a real challenge.
Right.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and stop there. It's just like I said, when I say why does it matter, it wasn't a loaded question, or it wasn't just a rhetorical question. But sometimes I do think, okay, why does this matter? Well, it matters a lot. Okay, I'm stopping
I still didn't answer your question,
it.
and I'm not going to right now.
Okay.
Okay. To cite another example, knowledge is figuratively described as light and ignorance as darkness. But reflect, is knowledge sensible light or ignorance sensible darkness? Reflect, is light sensible light or is knowledge sensible light or ignorance sensible darkness?
I'm sorry. To continue, excuse me. Let me just say this. I think about the way Baha'is, or in the writings, and correct me if I'm wrong, how it is expressed as far as when someone, even in the afterlife, uh, is, I want to say heaven is considered to be nearness to God,
Sure.
which, even though we don't believe in the concept of a physical hell, hell is distance from God. And the reason I gasped is because in that moment it just occurred to me that even though, well, it's just that I have kind of put into physical, or as Abdul Baha says, sensible terms. I put it into physical form. Someone is far away from God, even in the afterlife, which means that God would have to be physical and they'd have to
Right.
be far away. And yet, when you start thinking in terms of this, you could be right there and still be in the dark.
Yeah.
Knowledge is figuratively described as light and ignorance as darkness. And ah, I think someone turned on a light bulb for me. That's all.
Okay. I'm going to go back. But reflect. Is knowledge sensible light or ignorance sensible darkness? Certainly not. These are only intelligible conditions, but when you wish to express them outwardly, you call knowledge light and ignorance darkness, and say, my heart was dark, and it became illumined. Now, the light of knowledge and the darkness of ignorance are intelligible realities, not sensible ones. But when we seek to express them outwardly, we are obliged to give them a sensible form.
Mm.
That's something, I'm going to say that again.
Yeah.
Now, the light of knowledge and the darkness of ignorance are intelligible realities, not sensible ones. But when we seek to express them outwardly, we are obliged to give them a sensible form because that's all we have to hold on to. That's all we have to
Yeah.
attach them to.
Yeah. Yeah. It lets you know how very limiting words can be.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, and even, obviously a lot of that is relative or comparative. But when we struggle to find the words to communicate what our thoughts are to other people, or even, I'm saying to other people, even to ourselves,
Yeah.
that little internal dialogue some of our struggles may be because we can't find the words to adequately express for ourselves to understand what we're going through, or whatever the case may be.
Thus, it is evident that the dove which descended upon Christ was not a physical dove, but a spiritual condition expressed for the sake of comprehension by a sensible figure. For example, in the Old Testament, it is said that God appeared as a pillar of fire. Now, that which is intended is not a sensible form, but an intelligible reality that has been expressed in such a form. Christ says, the Father is in the Son, and the Son is in the Father. Now, was Christ within God, or was God within Christ? No, by God. This is an intelligible condition which has been expressed in a sensible figure.
And again, I think about that whole thing, a pillar of fire, or the burning bush.
Right.
It is difficult to move on from physical imagery. And maybe it's not difficult for everyone, but difficult for me, especially if you're raised in that tradition where you think all of these things indeed are literal and physical or sensible, as Abdul Baha is calling them. It can be a challenge to move on from that and accept that these words, which is all we have, are used to describe again something that is very abstract,
Right.
and yet using concrete terms to help people understand. And yet we hang on to the concrete, or at least we make the mistake of hanging on to the concrete instead of understanding. To me, it bridges that gap between belief and disbelief. It's hard to believe that that something appeared in a pillar of fire, or that, let's say, Moses went up on the mountain and spoke to the burning bush, or whatever. But to accept that all of these things indeed did really happen, but not in again in the concrete, but in the abstract. It's just, again, it's to me, it kind of bridges that gap for me between something that is very difficult to believe and something that becomes easier to accept, at least.
Well, it also points out how limited we are, how limited our senses are,
Yes.
even in being able to express things that there are no words for.
Yes.
Our sense, all we have to go on is our senses. What we can see, smell, taste, touch. Beyond that, how do you express certain feelings, certain concepts?
I had something happen to me yesterday that was a little bit salty. It was a bit salty.
See, there's the term.
Exactly. It
You have
had
to-
had nothing to do with food, and yet it was very, very salty. Okay, so. But yeah, when you got nothing but words, you still got to do the best you can with
Right.
it. Right.
So we come to the explanation of the words of Baha'u'llah when he says, "O King, I was but a man like others, asleep upon my couch when lo, the breezes of the all glorious were wafted over me, and taught me the knowledge of all that hath been. This thing is not from me, but from one who is almighty and all knowing. This is the station of divine revelation. It is not a sensible, but an intelligible reality. It is sanctified from the transcendent
From
above,
and transcendent.
from and transcendent above past, present, and future. It is a comparison and an analogy, a metaphor, and not a literal truth. It is not the condition that is commonly understood by the human mind when it is said that someone was asleep and then awoke, but signifies a passage from one state to another.
I have a problem with that.
What's your problem with that?
I mean, I've read that passage many times. O King, I was but a man like others, asleep upon my couch.
Yeah.
I always thought that was physical. When lo, the breezes of the all glorious were wafted over me. I say wafted, but I've heard some people say wafted, but wafted over me, and taught me the knowledge of all that hath been. This thing is not from me, but from one who is almighty and all knowing. Now, here is my own ignorance that I'm going to put on display. I tried to picture this, and do you know what came to mind? Even though, well, this is overtime. The Matrix. I'm ashamed to
Okay.
say that out loud, but I'm saying it anyway. The Matrix, and I picture Baha'u'llah asleep on his couch, on his bed, on his pallet, whatever, and there's this cascade of code,
Code.
of computer code that comes down. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm saying this out loud. I know how ridiculous it is. But
Well, you did say Matrix, so
yeah.
I get it.
But again, when Abdul Baha says no, he's talking about, again, going from, I'll call it spiritual, sleep to spiritual wakefulness, even though that might not even be correct. But it is sanctified, and this is the station of divine revelation. This is not sensible, but an intelligible reality. It is sanctified from and transcendent above past, present, and future. That means it's timeless. It's a comparison and an analogy, a metaphor, and not a literal truth. And that again, kind of like, for me, it's like, why? But I keep thinking about it literally. And now I think maybe this is just a tiny, tiny seed of growth to be able to still accept that, yes, this did happen. And yet, no, it's not like his body raised up while all of this information and knowledge came from the spiritual realm and filled his being, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to stop putting my own ignorance on display.
So this song that we're getting ready to do is also an analogy.
Yeah. Is that why you chose it?
It's one of the reasons I chose
One
it.
of the reasons.
Okay. It's also an analogy.
Sometimes we get here, I don't know what song we want to do, so I'll ask Daryl, or sometimes he'll just tell me, and he just comes up with a song, and I say okay most of the time, and man, I get it.
Okay.
God made music to be a ladder. God made music to be a ladder. There's that metaphor. God made music. God made music. God made music to be a ladder for your soul. His grace inspires a melody. His peace, His harmony. His rhythm lifts humanity. His love makes life a symphony. God made music. God made music. God made music to be a ladder for your soul. So let your soul climb, climb. Let your soul climb. Let it climb. Let your soul climb to the realm on high. It lifts you when you're lonely. It soothes the spirit's pain. strengthens in the hard times, till the good times come again. God made music. God made music. God made music to be a ladder for your soul. God made music to be a ladder. God made music to be a ladder. God made music. God made music. God made music to be a ladder for your soul. A ladder for your soul. A ladder for your soul. I'm like, okay, do I stop there? Do I stop there? Do I stop there? That's a good place.
All right.
A ladder for you. So I'm glad we haven't done that in a, you're right. We haven't done that in a long time. I'm glad you suggested it. And yes, it is a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
It's a bunch of metaphors. His grace inspires a melody. His peace is harmony. His rhythm lifts humanity. Love makes life a symphony. Thank you. This song
Thank you.
it suddenly has more. I don't know. I have a deeper understanding of it now. Yeah. Okay. Where were you?
Last page.
Yeah. Okay.
For this section.
The very all the way to the.
Yeah.
For example.
Yes.
Okay. For example. It's kind of a strange way to start. For example. Okay. I'm going to start with it as a comparison. It is not the condition that is commonly understood by the human mind when it is said that someone was asleep and then awoke, but signifies a passage from one state to another. For example, sleeping is the state of repose, and wakefulness is the state of motion. Sleeping is the state of silence, and wakefulness is the state of utterance. I'm sorry, I just thought about talking in your sleep, but anyway, I wish my mind didn't do those things. Sleeping is the state of concealment, and wakefulness is that of manifestation. For example, in Persian and Arabic, it is said that the earth was asleep. Spring came and it awoke. Or that the earth was dead. Spring came and it found life again. These expressions are comparisons, analogies, similes, and figurative interpretations in the realm of inner meaning. I'm going to read that again because it's like I almost have this feeling I need to go back and reread every book on any aspect of religion or spirituality, and it will change my interpretation of so much. These expressions are comparisons, analogies, similes, and figurative interpretations in the realm of inner meaning. Briefly, the manifestations of God have ever been and will ever be luminous realities, and no change or alteration ever takes place in their essence.
And it should be noted here that realities is capitalized.
Yes, realities is capitalized. Thank you for pointing that out. At most, oh my goodness, this is the last sentence, but it's so profound. At most, before their revelation, they are still and silent, like one who is asleep. And after their revelation, they are eloquent and effulgent, like one who is awake. You know, I was thinking as I'm reading this of John Hatcher. Most of you in the Zoom, probably maybe even all of you know John Hatcher. I was at one of his talks years ago, and he talked about how the manifestation of God is always, from the very beginning, the manifestation of God.
Right.
You know, but there's this point where they, and this is not his words, it's the best I can remember my own interpretation of what he said, where they finally, it becomes clear that they are a manifestation of God. But in the beginning, yeah, as far as the way they are coming and going and interacting, you know, there may seem to be something special about them, but they don't seem to be, and this again, my interpretation, at that level where you look at them as, whoa, this being, this individual is not like other human beings. They are on a much, much, much higher spiritual level, or whatever you want to call it. And so it can be difficult when you think, I think it's almost, and this is just me, some people may disagree, it's almost a blessing to not have to see a manifestation of God in physical form and accept that this person truly is
a manifestation.
yeah, a man, not just sent by God, not just, you know, a good speaker or whatever, but someone who truly is a manifestation of God. I mean, we have the benefit of their words, and you know, and many, many years of other very deepened and enlightened people who can help us along the way. But imagine those people who live in the day of the manifestation of God, who, you know,
Right.
the fact their physical form is almost a veil to the spiritual reality of who they
Sure.
are. Yeah. So I'll stop there. I notice you put your book down. You got a lot of time, man.
Yes.
You want to go ahead and stop now and not start the next chapter?
If you'd like to, we can start the next chapter,
Ah,
but
I don't know. Because the next chapter,
it's
it is
about
brief,
Christ. Yeah,
but
it's about Christ.
this is about the birth of Christ.
Yes.
The birth of Christ. Now think about that when we ask this first question. How was Christ born of the Holy Spirit? Hmm. How was Christ born of the Holy Spirit? Here's the beginning of the answer. You know, I almost want to rush to the end because I know how it ends. I'll go ahead and leave it. Answer. In regard to this question, the divine and material philosophers disagree. The former believe that Christ was born of the Holy Spirit, while the latter deem such a thing to be impossible and untenable and hold that he must have necessarily had a human father. In the Quran, it is said, "And we sent our spirit to her, and he took before her the form of a perfect man," meaning that the Holy Spirit assumed a human form as an image appears in a mirror and conversed with Mary. The material philosophers believe that there must be pairing and assert that a living body cannot come into being from a lifeless one or materialize without the union of male and female. They believe that beyond man, this is impossible in animals, and that beyond animals, it is impossible even in plants, for this pairing of male and female exists in all the animals and plants. They even argue that the Quran itself affirms this pairing of all things. Here's a quote: "Glory be to him who hath created all the pairs of such things as earth produceth, and out of men themselves, and of things beyond their kin, that is, man, animals, and plants, are all found in pairs. And of everything have we created two kinds." Unquote. That is, we have created all things in pairs. Remember, we're still talking about the birth of Christ here. How was he born of the Holy Spirit?
Mm-hmm.
Briefly, they say that a man without a human father cannot be imagined. The divine philosophers, however, reply, such a thing is not impossible, although it has not been observed. And there is a difference between that which is impossible and that which has merely not been observed. For example, in the days before the telegraph, The instantaneous communication of East and West had not been observed, but was not impossible. Likewise, the photograph and the phonograph had not been observed, but were not impossible. And now we can apply that same, analogy to, or that same comparison to, let's say, obviously the internet. The material philosophers insist upon their belief, and the divine philosophers reply, is this terrestrial globe eternal, or was it originated? The material philosophers answer that, according to well-established scientific findings, it is proven to be originated. That is, in the beginning it was a molten sphere and gradually became temperate, that a crust was formed around it, and that upon this crust plants came into being, then animals, and finally man. The divine philosophers say, it follows clearly from your statement that the human species upon the terrestrial globe was originated and is not eternal. Then surely the first man had neither father nor mother, for the existence of the human species has an origin in time. Now, which is more problematic? That man should come into being, albeit gradually, with neither father nor mother, or that he should come into being without a father? As you admit that the first man came into being with neither father nor mother, whether it be gradually or in a short period of time, there can remain no doubt that a man without a human father is also possible and logically admissible. I would hate to argue with Abdul Baha.
Yes.
One cannot therefore simply reject this as impossible, and to do so would betray a lack of fairness. For example, if you say that this lamp was once lit with neither wick nor oil, and then say that it is impossible for it to be lit without the wick, this betrays a lack of fairness. Christ had a mother, but the first man, according to the material philosophers, had neither father nor mother, and that is where it ends. And I'm going to tell you, I was reading this in another edition, and it had a little footnote at the end. I wish they had it here. It said that Abdul Baha, in general, is speaking to the pointlessness of this argument. Let's just,
Right.
we can waste a lot of time talking about this, and we can talk about other things that are of a weightier issue. So anyway,
which came first, the chicken or the egg?
I don't know. I always like my chickens scrambled. But
Okay.
okay, that's kind of disgusting when you think. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. Let's get back to a spiritual realm. I'm going to get back into a spiritual mindset. And at this time, we're going to go ahead, and anyone who would like to offer up a prayer or reading or song of your choosing, this is that time. I don't think Andy's with us today, is he?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So anyone who would like to, again, offer up a prayer or a reading of your choosing, this is that time.
All right, give me a second. I'll have it ready.
Mm-hmm.
O thou forgiving God, these servants are turning to thy kingdom and seeking thy grace and bounty. O God, make their hearts good and pure, in order that they may become worthy of thy love. Purify and sanctify the spirits, that the light of the Son of reality may shine upon them. Purify and sanctify the eyes, that they may perceive thy light. Purify and sanctify the ears, in order that they may hear the call of thy kingdom. O Lord, verily we are weak, but thou art mighty. Verily we are poor, but thou art rich. We are the seekers, and thou art the one sought, O Lord. Have compassion upon us, and forgive us. Bestow upon us such capacity and receptiveness, that we may be worthy of thy favors, become attracted to thy kingdom, that we may drink deep of the water of life, may be enkindled by the fire of thy love, and be resuscitated through the breath of the Holy Spirit in this radiant century. O God, my God, cast upon this gathering the glances of thy loving kindness. Keep safe each and all in thy custody and under thy protection. Send down upon these souls thy heavenly blessings. Immerse them in the ocean of thy mercy, and quicken them through the breath of the Holy Spirit. O Lord, bestow thy gracious aid and confirmation on this just government, This country lieth beneath the sheltering shadow of thy protection, and this people is in thy service. O Lord, confer upon them thy heavenly bounty, and render the outpourings of thy grace in favor copious and abundant. So for this esteemed nation to be held in honor and enable it to be admitted into thy kingdom. Thou art the powerful, the omnipotent, the merciful, and thou art the generous, the beneficent, the Lord of grace abounding. This is a prayer from Abdul Baha, and I think it was somewhere in New York that he revealed it.
Thank you, Terry. Is there anyone else who'd like to share?
I'd like to say a prayer of praise and gratitude for helping my daughter, blessing my daughter in surgery, oral surgery, and getting her through that. It was difficult, but it's successful.
We're glad about that. Pauline, please.
We testify, O my God, that thou art God, and that there is no God besides thee. From eternity thou hast existed with none to equal or rival thee, and wilt abide forever the same. I beseech thee, by the eyes which see thee established upon the throne of unity and the seat of oneness, to aid all them that love thee by thy most great name, and to lift them up into such heights that they will testify with their own beings and with their tongues that thou art God alone, the incomparable, the one, the ever abiding. Thou hast had no time any peer or partner. Thou in truth art the all-glorious, the almighty, whose help is implored by all men.
Thank you, Pauline. Is there anyone else who would like to share?
I have two prayers.
Okay, please, Kim, and then I believe I see Pam with her hand up. So after Kim, Pam, please. Okay. Or was that the other way around? I think that was Kim, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God, refresh and gladden my spirit, purify my heart, illumine my powers. I lay all my affairs in thy hand. Thou art my guide and my refuge. I will no longer be sorrowful and grieved. I will be a happy and joyful being. O God, I will no longer be full of anxiety, nor will I let trouble harass me. I will not dwell on the unpleasant things of life. O God, thou art more friend to me than I am to myself. I dedicate myself to thee, O Lord. And this is a short prayer for the departed. O my God, O thou forgiver of sins, bestower of gifts, dispeller of afflictions. Verily I beseech thee to forgive the sins of such as have abandoned the physical garment and have ascended to the spiritual world. O my Lord, purify them from trespasses, dispel their sorrows, and change their darkness into light. Cause them to enter the garden of happiness. Cleanse them with the most pure water, and grant them to behold thy splendors on the loftiest mount.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Pam?
I want to say a prayer specifically for our dear Glenford Mitchell, who passed a few days ago. And for those who don't know, he was a member of our National Spiritual Assembly and later a member of the Universal House of Justice. And you can learn more about him and his talks on YouTube and so on. He's a wonderful speaker. So this is for Glenford Mitchell or anybody else you have in mind. O my God, verily thy servant, humble before the majesty of thy divine supremacy, lowly at the door of thy oneness, hath believed in thee and in thy verses, hath testified to thy word, hath been enkindled with the fire of thy love, hath been immersed in the depths of the ocean of thy knowledge, hath been attracted by thy breezes, hath relied upon thee, hath turned his face to thee, hath offered his supplications to thee, and hath been assured of thy pardon and forgiveness. He hath abandoned this mortal life and hath flown to the kingdom of immortality, yearning for the favor of meeting thee. O Lord, glorify his station. Shelter him under the pavilion of thy supreme mercy. Cause him to enter thy glorious paradise and perpetuate his existence in thine exalted rose garden, that he may plunge into the sea of light in the world of mysteries. Verily, thou art the generous, the powerful, the forgiver, and the bestower. Abdul Baha.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to share? Well then, at this time, as always, we like to remind you that this is a joint community effort. People from different communities coming together, including those of you who choose to find value. And even if you just view along with what we're doing here, we're glad that you find some value in it. And thank you for your support. Anyone who is interested in learning more about the Baha'i Faith or continuing your study, there are some very, very, very reliable, credible, valid websites that you can go to. And what are those websites again, Daryl?
www.baha'i.org, www.baha'i.us, www.bahaiteachings.org, and locally, the www.clearwaterbaha'is.org.
And also you can go to oceanlibrary.org and Ocean 2.0 as an app. You can have that app downloaded on your phone. And this is just an amazing service, website and app, because they bring together all of the, spiritual writings from all of the world's major faiths. And they put it in one handy space where you can just download it on your phone and have it to read along or in your own personal study in your spiritual pursuits, shall we say. And anything else we want to say, Daryl?
I'd just like to say that if you happen to be one of those people in the world who is loved, you are truly, truly blessed. And the one thing that you can do to make sure that the world progresses in a loving way and in a kind way is to make sure that you share that love. It's not going to cost you anything. And I guarantee you that if you do that, the world will get better. Share the love, please. Thank you all for joining us today. Allow our
O people of justice, be as brilliant as the light and as splendid as the fire that blazed in the burning bush. The brightness of the fire of your love will no doubt fuse and unify the contending peoples and kindreds of the earth, whilst the fierceness of the flame of enmity and hatred cannot but result in strife and ruin. We beseech God that he may shield his creatures from the evil designs of his enemies. He verily hath power over all things. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let yourselves, for the evil one is lying in wait, ready to entrap you. Gird yourselves against his wicked devices, and led by the light of the name of the all-seeing God, make your escape from the darkness that surrounded you. Let your vision be world-embracing rather than confined to your own self. These are the words of Baha'u'llah. Be world-embracing. Let your vision be world-embracing. Let your vision be world-embracing. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. World-embracing. Let it be. World-embracing. Let it be. World-embracing. Have a good
Allow
week,
our
folks.